I'm gonna be frank.
I'ma be frank. Na, 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 na. I'ma be frank. Yeah, yeah. I'ma be frank.
This will probably be the last one for a little bit, just because I want to, recharge and just kind of sit with life and be present, like I've been trying to talk about in these videos. Be present, so that way, when I do come back, I'll have hopefully something meaningful to say. I'm about to sound like Mr. Rogers up in here. I'll have something more to say, and you'll have things you want to talk about, and I will too. I butchered that, but y'all, whatever. This is why I shouldn't do more than like 4 or 5 at a time, because then I just started getting delusional. Anyway, so I'm just gonna cut right to it. One of the days, this was like maybe, I'd have to look in my journal, but it was like maybe a month ago, or maybe not, maybe 3 weeks ago, close to a month ago. It doesn't necessarily matter. It was recent. And one day I was taking my Saturday morning walk, just trying to clear my mind, trying to get some clarity in this like exhausting and excruciatingly slow season of life. And there's an area along the Bob Callan Trail that I like to stop at. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. It's like these rocks and waterfall kind of thing, just beautiful, stunning. And I went up there, and I'm just like trying to pull some meaning out of life right now, because I'm like, I need that. And I'm like, little begrudgingly, but a little bit of a prayer of like, man, God, is there anything I can learn from looking around, watching around? Anything. I'm desperate, bro. Like anything. And I saw a squirrel, and he was like foraging for food and stuff. And I'm like, okay. Immediately, I'm like, is this the like bird thing where it's just like you're more important than a bird? Birds get fed and all that. And I'm like, no, I don't think it is. And I'm just like, let me stop trying to pull all this deep meaning and just observe, just watch. And so I was watching this squirrel. I've never really seen a super calm squirrel. Most squirrels are just always, but this squirrel was very calm, and he was foraging around just in this area, in his immediate radius. Very calm, very content. And I saw a little bit further out in my peripheral, there was 2 other squirrels, and they were foraging for like 2 seconds, and then they started to like go towards this tree almost at the same time, almost colliding. And they do that spiral thing when they go up the tree, chasing each other's tails and stuff. And they were doing that and going up. And then there was like a third one that came out of nowhere who also jumped up there. And then they were all just doing all of this stuff, doing the most, up and down, round and round. And yet that squirrel from earlier was just still just calm and contently foraging. But what's in front of him? What's in his immediate radius? And then I think it hit me right there. But then also, as I start to walk back to my apartment, trying to process a little bit more, the culmination of that, I think, was to teach me, or to get me to start to wrap my mind around the ideal of focus on what's in front of you and not the ascension. Like the squirrel, he was focusing on what was right around him in his immediate radius, whereas these other 2 squirrels were focusing on getting up the tree, the ascension. And most of my life and most of my career, specifically when I started acting, it's always been focused on how do I get to the end game. I want to be an A-lister. I want to be in these movies. I want to do this ascent. What every move I make has to be how it's going to get me on the come up. And instead, all that did was leave those squirrels tired and hungry and with no food. Whereas this other squirrel, he was just staying calm and focusing on what was in front of him. He was much calmer. He was much more content, seemingly, versus this energy. So it's not to say that you don't have to work to move ahead, to eat, if we're going to use the literal metaphor here with the squirrel. It's not to say that there's no work involved with eating. That squirrel still had to forage. That was still work. But there can be calmness and there can be peace in the work versus this crazy wound up energy in the work. It's still a grind. It still worked. The squirrel had to work, but he was calm, he was peaceful. No matter where you're at in your life, at your job, career, what have you, focus on what's immediately in your radius, what's in front of you right now. Focus on that, and the rest will come in time. What that time is, couldn't tell you. What that deadline is, couldn't tell you. But focus on that. The thing that made it hard for me in that is like, well, what if there's nothing for me to focus on right now? What if there's literally nothing? It goes back to the stuff that we talked about in some of the other videos that were before this one, which was stillness. When there's nothing, okay, how do I be present with nothingness and see if something is there? That's a really overwhelming exercise to do, because no one, myself included, likes to just sit in stillness and wonder about life. And who wants to be stuck with their own thoughts? I don't. You know, but in wavering through that, and wading through that, you can figure out some things. Some things may become clear, may become apparent. But yeah, so that's kind of where I was at. In the comments, I would love to know what's in front of you right now that you could be focusing on, that you can see in some way will enhance your life, your quality of life. As always, if you like any of the content shared in this video, please take a moment to like the video, share the video, leave a comment, and don't forget to visit my website at frankoakley3rd.com. Thank you. Peace.